Hello, I'm Todd Hall, President and CEO of TruLiant. As we mark our 70th anniversary in 2022, we reflect on a rich history that would not be possible without the support of the great city of Winston-Salem. From our humble beginnings in 1952 to the present, where we will soon serve over 300,000 members, hire our 1,000th employee, and exceed $4 billion in assets, to a future poised for continued growth. I am proud of the work we are doing together. TruLiant is grateful for and remains committed to Winston-Salem and all of Forsyth County.
Welcome to the Greater Conversations podcast. I'm Deetra Miller, the Director of Member Relations and Engagement at Greater Winston-Salem, Inc. We'll use this platform to showcase our local businesses, our community, and their stories. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. It is my pleasure to introduce to you today a couple of folks from Crossnore Communities for Children. Today we have Holly Kessler, the Senior Director of Community Relations at Crossnore, and also Andrew Florence, the Director of Experiential Learning at Crossnore. Welcome.
Thanks, Deetra.
I am so excited for everyone to learn about what you do at Crossnore. If I remember correctly, Andrew, I met you about, earlier this spring, I think, so about 3 or 4 months ago. Our Senior VP of Strategy and Engagement, Katie Collins, and I went out to explore Miracle Heights. And, oh, what a treat it is. So I want to just go ahead and back up a little bit and start with what exactly Crossnore Communities for Children is. Holly? Share that with us.
Well, that's a great question because we're a really big organization. We're a 100-plus-year-old child welfare organization. So we work largely with families, children and families in the foster care system. We have a really robust outpatient therapy, school-based therapy program as well that serves children in our service area, which is all of Western North Carolina.
Wow.
We have kids that live on our campuses that are in foster care, and they live in community foster homes as well.
Wow. Talk a little bit about the campus because it is exquisite. It's large. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. Right on Renolda Road, 212 acres. That has been open since 1909. Wow. It was opened by a very dedicated group of United Methodist ministers and has served children since 1909, so for more than 100 years. But we have cottages there where kids live. We have the Miracle Heights Adventures that Andrew's going to tell you about, and about 100 acres of it is a farm. It used to be a really working farm, dairy cows. They grew everything they ate and all that. We don't quite do that much anymore, but that part of the campus is also where Piedmont Land Conservancy purchased a conservation easement a couple of years ago, and we'll be putting in a walking trail this fall.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, we're excited about that. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
So for the kids that come to Crossnore, how are they introduced to the organization?
So those kids are in foster care, and it's a difficult time for them. They've been removed from their homes. DSS then is charged with finding them a safe place to live. And so when they come into Crossnore, they will come in either to a cottage, usually with their siblings, or maybe go into a single-family foster home into the community. The kids have therapy available to them. They have a case manager. We work really hard to get them caught up on things like medical needs and schooling issues and that kind of thing. But those first few days are not easy. But we have really professional parents who are trained in our trauma-informed model who do everything they can to make that an easier transition for those kids.
What have you found to be something that most of the kids in foster care, when they come to Crossnore, what is it that most of them have in common?
So most of them have in common trauma. They've experienced trauma of some kind. Even if they don't really know why they were removed from their home, just being removed from their home is traumatic. And so they really come in wanting to be safe. And that's kind of where we start with them. What can we do to help you feel safe? How can we help you find safe behaviors? Because some kids that come into care, maybe have experienced some unsafe behaviors. And so really finding safety for them. And it doesn't take them long to figure out, I'm in a place where people are going to take care of me. I'm getting fed. My needs are being met. And all of a sudden, within a couple of days, they'll take a deep breath, and you can almost see them kind of settle down. It doesn't solve all their problems, but usually within a few days, they settle down a little bit, and then we can really start working on some bigger issues.
Oh, that's great. What is the social aspect like for the children there?
So they live in a cottage with cottage parents, up to 9 children in a cottage. Like I said, sometimes they're placed in a cottage with their siblings. The number one need that foster children tell us, the number one connection they have is with their siblings. So we try to maintain that for them. But it's just like a big house. It's the cottage parents are there 24 hours a day. They have a budget. They have a big 15-passenger van. And so they just run it like a home. What kid has to be here today? Everybody's got to get on the bus in the morning. We got to go to the grocery store. Danny has a doctor's appointment, whatever. So it's just running a big house.
That is awesome. Yeah. How many kids do you usually have on campus at once?
So right now we have about 50 kids on campus. About 8 or 10 of those kids are in our youth independent living program. That's older kids that are aging out of foster care. Oh. And that program is designed to help them transition successfully into young adulthood. And then the rest of the kids are in our cottages. They're minor age kids that are in our cottages.
I'm really curious now that you've brought that up, because transitioning into adulthood is hard for anybody. Yes. Excuse me. Adulting is hard. So give us a snippet of what that looks like.
So it really depends on what the young adults' goals are. College isn't for everybody. We really encourage our kids to graduate high school. A high school diploma makes the difference of $1 million in lifetime earning, just having a high school diploma. So we want all our kids to graduate high school. And then after that, do you want to work? Do you want to go to college? Some of our kids have looked at the military. What are the life goals that you really have, and how can we help you transition successfully into meeting those goals? Mm-hmm. And so that could include housing. It could include transportation, college scholarships, resume building, mentors, all the things that we do for our own kids when they're 18, 19, 20. They think they can take on the world, and they really can't. They need that support. And kids that grow up in foster care a lot of times don't have that support.
Wow. It sounds like the kids have an opportunity to learn a lot of things, a lot of social skills, a lot of ways to take care of themselves.
Yes.
Some of the basic things I think that we take for granted. You mentioned just going to a doctor's appointment. Right. So they're learning all of these responsibilities.
Yeah. But a lot of it is about their own agency, like learning to deciding what is their goal in their life, and then how, especially for those youth independent living kids, how do I call and make up a doctor's appointment? How do I advocate for myself, in college admissions or whatever the situation may be, but learning their own agency and being able to take care of themselves and speak up for themselves.
I love that.
And that's also really connected to choice. A lot of times our kids lose the ability to have any choice. Every bit of choice that they have is taken away from them by being in the child welfare system. And so the ability to see their future, to make action towards that is really impactful. And we do that as often as possible, partnering with our kids and working alongside them towards what's right for them.
That's awesome. Well, part of the life experience in adulting is knowing how to have fun and relax. So that kind of brings me over to you, Andrew, with Miracle Heights. Talk a little bit about that program.
Yeah, so our Miracle Heights Adventures program, we work with groups. We offer experiential learning activities that embody the spirit of adventure, build resilience, and empower collective success. And so that's really kind of our external branch, that we're working with the public, that we are working with school groups, we're working with organizations, and all of the work that we do with the public is done with our kids and our families. So our kids in our residential program, our kids in our outpatient programming, our staff, we offer our adventure program to those kids. And it's really impactful to see that what Holly was talking about with agency and that transition into choice. We have the ability to really highlight the principles like challenge by choice, where we're going to recognize that kids get to do what they want to do, and we're going to build as many opportunities in a fun, novel environment, whether it's on the ropes course or it's around a puzzle at a table, or if it's in a sports field, that we are going to create those opportunities for kids to show up how they want to show up and engage with each other and learn and be in community, to belong to each other and to know what's strong in them.
I love that. And you mentioned that groups and I guess corporate organizations can come out as well and have some team building play.
Yeah.
So talk about some of the things that they can expect.
Yeah. So something that we're seeing a lot right now is that teams, as we're coming back into maybe you're navigating remote work, or you're navigating hybrid teams, or we're navigating teams are coming back into the office for the first time in 2 years. There have been a change in norms. There's been a change in how we relate to each other. And we
Could be just changing staff.
Yeah.
New staff that was hired during
people,
COVID.
Right? And there may be people who are going to stay remote, right? And how do we create opportunities where teams know each other, that they value each other, that they have the resilient factors to buffer when adversity comes? We know that adversity comes and it impacts our teams, and having that intact group of a team can really help us to buffer and to ride through what happens to us. Changes in regulations, changes in budgets, changes in staffing, whatever's the stressor. By us being connected and knowing who we are collectively, individually, we're able to get through that. And so, just what a typical group can expect. We really work alongside groups the entire process, from just hearing what are goals, what are the needs, what are hopeful outcomes, what at the end of a day or multi-day team building session, what would be different. What would it look like? What would it feel like? What would it sound like in your team, in your school, in your organization? What are the kind of places that we want to go? And then me and my team, we work alongside our contacts to really kind of build an agenda and a scope of work, a kind of an outline of this is what we are hearing as what you want to get to, and these are the tools that we might use. So that might be creating a really custom designed workforce development plan, or it might be that's experiential in nature, or it might be a new onboarding plan, and we're going to make it really interactive so that from the start of when team members join an agency, we're starting off with that belonging from the very beginning. Or it might be a full day of fun on the ropes course where we're really building that camaraderie and we're building skills and we're building agency. Adults need agency too.
Yeah,
we need
sure.
the ability to choose. We're just kids that in more old bodies, and we have all the more seasoned. We've been around a little longer. We have all the same needs. We need to have choice and to be able to move how we want.
I love that. I can see the passion in the faces of both of you. The audience can't see it, but I hope they can hear it. I want to go back to something because I didn't ask you guys about your background. So I want to know first from you, Andrew, because again, you're so passionate about this. What's your background in experiential learning?
Yeah, so I have a bachelor's from Appalachian State University in recreation management, and my concentration in that program was outdoor experiential education. I come from a camp background. I started working at camp when I was 14, and I worked at several different camps until 22, I think. And I started working on our Avery County campus in 2014 in our residential program, and it was really impactful for me personally to understand that some things that happened to me growing up, to have affirmation that those things shouldn't have happened, and that it's important for me to reclaim that. So my own journey with this agency has been one of healing for myself, and to really bring home the work on a personal level. And then I went on and I got my master's in youth development leadership from Clemson in 2019. And so, yeah, I'm a kid person. Give me a group of kids, and I'm about as happy as I can be.
And the big kid will be there too.
Yes. Yep.
I love that. And Holly, what about you as the Senior Director of Community Relations and just knowing all things Crossnore? You shared a little bit of background with me earlier. Just talk a little bit about that.
Well, when I came to Crossnore, I was actually an ordained pastor. I mean, I guess I still am, but that's what I was working in for a church in Charlotte. Was the last place that I was on staff, and came to Crossnore at a time when, I think I was just really looking, and went to the Avery campus in the mountains. It was a very healing time for me as well. Just to learn more about our trauma-informed model, to be in this very serene sort of atmosphere and environment, a place that I'd never lived before. I moved from Charlotte to the tiny town of Crossnore, North Carolina. That's some culture shock right there. But I worked for the first couple of years on the residential team, which was super important, I think, for what I've gone on to do at Crossnore, because it really made me understand the work we do with children and why we do it. I then became the Director of Communications. I have a bachelor's degree in English from UNCG and went on to get my master's in organizational leadership, and so from Regent University. And so then I became the Senior Director of Community Relations, where I oversee our Office of Communications. So I still have my hand in writing and publications and marketing, but also oversee our Fostering Communities Department, where we work with churches and organizations and businesses and individuals that want to build support networks around foster families.
Wow.
So my job really has morphed from just sort of the backside of marketing and communications into more community engagement and community relations, and getting folks involved in supporting the work that Crossnore does.
Since you've been there, what has been one of your favorite success stories of a young person that has come through or may still be in the program?
Yeah, I just told this story in some training that I did last weekend for a group of churches, but we had a kid that was at Crossnore when I got there. He was about 15 years old, I guess, and I honestly wanted to pinch his head off when he was a teenager. I just wanted to kill him. He just, whatever, But I was told that before I got there, he had egged the chapel. Now, if that's not a metaphor for being mad at God, I don't know what is.
Oh, my goodness.
And, he had been through some trauma. He had come to live at Crossnore. He was trying to figure out his life. This young man has gone on to graduate from App State. He worked for Crossnore for a year as a case manager. He is now in his second year of law school and is engaged to a young woman that he grew up with at Crossnore. He's one of our favorite people now. I've gone from wanting to pinch his head off to hugging him each time I see him.
I bet.
But, that's what Crossnore can provide for kids, is the opportunity to heal and the opportunity to be a kid while they are a kid, but then have that support as they go on to adulthood to be successful.
Wow.
And to break generational cycles. Many of the kids that we serve are the product of generations of poverty, abuse, neglect, substance misuse. It's generational. And I continue to be shocked daily that many of the kids that we serve will be first generation high school graduates.
Wow.
It is 2022, and they're the first people in their families to graduate high school. And that is astounding to me. But to see them succeed is pretty astounding as well.
Wow. The success rate that you've had with kids over the years is pretty astounding. You've got a great team, but I'm sure that this takes a lot, right, financially. So for the folks that are listening that want to get involved, whether it is by making a donation or volunteering or just spreading the word, how do they do that?
The easiest thing is to go to our website, crossnore.org. We have a really robust online giving program. So if what you want to do is make a dollar donation, we can take it. And that's super helpful to us. We have to raise about 40% of our budget every year. And that's a big number. So any donation of any amount is helpful. And then on our website, you can find out about how to volunteer. You can find out about how to come to work for us. We have a lot of career openings. You can find out how to engage with Miracle Heights Adventures or with fostering communities. You can find out how to get training. We offer training to organizations in becoming trauma-informed and trauma-resilient. So there's lots of ways to be involved with Crossnore. You can come for a tour. You can email us, and we'll just give you a tour of campus if you're just interested in learning about it.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'll make a quick pitch that that Miracle Heights Adventures, something that sets us apart and is different from other team building opportunities is that all of the funding goes directly to support the mission of Crossnore. So there's not only the opportunity for teams and organizations to get the benefit of a healthier culture, of a more connected workforce. You also have that opportunity to support what the work that we're doing with children and families across the western part of the state.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right. So before we wrap up here, I've got to ask both of you, because you come from totally different types of cities, if you will, than Winston-Salem.
Yeah.
So Charlotte is its own wonderful place, and the town that you're from again is...
I grew up in Hillsborough, North Carolina, but I have a long line of small towns.
Small town living
Todd,
is for you.
and then Crossnore, and yep.
Yeah. So what is it about Winston-Salem that you both love? Let's start with you, Holly.
Well, I was born here, actually.
Oh.
I never lived in Winston as a kid, but I was born here. Well, I guess I did live here when I was a baby. But then my dad was a minister also, and we moved around, and I ended up kind of landing in Greensboro, growing up there, graduating high school. When I came back to Winston, so I went to work in Crossnore, and then when Crossnore merged with the children's home, one of the first things I asked was, could I move the communications office to Winston-Salem, which is a really good opportunity for both me personally, but also the organization, just to have more access to media and to folks like you, Deetra. And so that was great for the organization. But my parents were also in this area. My dad still is in Kernersville. And they were getting to an age where they really needed me. And so I moved back to Winston and was shocked at just like how vibrant a town it has become, a city, and just how much there is going on in our city. And
yes.
I love it. I never imagined as a child that I would ever live in Winston-Salem, but
Wow.
I love it here. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Andrew, what about you?
Vibrancy was the first word that came to mind. I'm connected to a lot of different organizations and different folks in the organizing world, to different nonprofits, to folks at universities, and it's just so interesting the connections that can be made here, and the potential and the capacity that folks have in Winston-Salem for a place where we can all thrive.
I love that.
One of my favorite things to do is drive down Salem Parkway and look at our skyline.
Oh, yes.
Which you can also see from our campus. So here again, hit us up for a tour. We'll show you the Winston-Salem
You
skyline.
can also get a really unique view of it from the top of the ropes
Well,
course.
that is true. You can.
Well, is there anything that we did not touch on that you'd like to share with everyone listening before we wrap up?
I think that I would really like folks to know that after 2 years of COVID and one solid year where we just closed our campus, like we had signs at the entrance that said this campus is closed, just to protect our children, because that first year of COVID, none of us really knew what this was and how it was going to end up. And we're really now open, and I'm serious about campus tours. We're absolutely more than delighted to give folks. We'll put you on a golf cart and drive you around and tell you about our history. But we've also got some events coming up. We'll have our tree lighting. We're returning kind of to our annual tree lighting in early December. We're going to have a community blood drive in January. The River Run Festival will be back on our campus in April. And we're planning our own spring festival for this coming spring as well. So we've got lots of opportunities for the public to come on campus. The PLC Trail will be opening this fall as well. And so we really, dusk to dawn, our campus is open, and we'd love to have you come visit.
That's fantastic. And remind everyone again of the website.
Crossnore.org.
Perfect. Holly, Andrew, thank you so much for being here today. And everyone listening, until next time. We know you enjoyed this podcast today, so join us for the next episode of Greater Conversations. By the way, you can follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Be sure to smash that subscribe button. Also, be sure to visit our website at winstonsalem.com. The views and opinions stated in this podcast are solely those of the contributors and not necessarily those of our sponsors, distributors, or hosting companies. This podcast is copyrighted and cannot be reproduced without expressed written consent of Greater Winston-Salem, Inc. or your toast.